Hello, grade 7, boys and girls. I really miss you so much. We will carry on with Unit 7 challenge and Lesson 3, A Friend in Need. So, the title of this lesson is actually apart from the famous saying, A friend in need is a friend indeed. So, our topic is friendship. And this is really interesting topic that is related to all of us, I'm sure of that. So we will start with two questions that I want you to think about them. You're not going to answer them, but just think about them and answer them by yourselves. Don't tell me, do you think you are a good friend? If yes or no, think why is that? Why you are a good friend, or why you're not a good friend? Or why do you think you are a good friend, or why do you think you're not a good friend? The second question is, do you ever argue with your friends? If yes, what about? So, if you do argue with your friends, you argue about what? Now, in front of us, we have a quiz or a personality test. It's actually a personality test containing some situations questions. So, each question contains one situation, and you're going to choose what you're going to do each time if you are facing this situation, A, B, or C. So, for example, the first one, it's Sunday evening and you have planned to see your favorite band in concert. What would you do if your best friend rang and said he or she needed help revising for an exam? So imagine you are in this situation, what will you do? Are you going to explain about the concert and promise to help next time? Or will you give your ticket to someone else and go and help your best friend? Or would you pretend to be ill and go to the concert? So each time you read the situation and you choose your choice, A, B, or C. After you do this, you move to the results of the test and you see if your answers of the 6 questions are mostly A's, it means that you give enough time and energy to your best friend, but you don't let him or her walk over you. This balance means your best friend can rely on you, but he or she won't ask you to do too much. Keep it up and you will have a great relationship. If your answers are mostly B's, you are the type of person who doesn't mind putting other people first. It feels good to help people out, but remember you are important too. To have a healthy relationship, you need a balance and you must both do things for each other. And if your answers are mostly C's, it means that you think your best friend is great, but you don't like making too much effort for them. Sometimes you need to listen to other people's likes and dislikes and do not only think about yourself. If you control the relationship too much, it won't last long, that's for sure. So, these are the results of the test. They can give you a description of your choices. Okay? By the way, I did the test myself and I won't tell you the result. Now let's move to the grammar part. I will tell you first, or we will make a quick revision of conditional sentences type 1 that we have seen in the beginning of the year. If you remember in module 2, we have gone through conditional sentences type 1. In conditional sentences type 1, we use if plus present simple, and then in the second part of the sentence, we have will plus verb. That means the future simple. Example, if I like the car, I will buy it. So simply we use if plus verb in the present simple, then in the second part, future simple with will. We also use if plus verb in the present simple, and in the second part of the sentence, we use modal verbs plus verb. Example, if you want to get good marks, you must work hard. So notice here that the conditional sentence starts always with if. Not always with if, but you can all start your sentence with will. I will buy it if I like it. I will buy the car if I like it, for example, or you must work hard if you want to get good marks. I can start with the second part of the sentence, but it always contains a condition, which starts with if. Why did we make this revision? Because today we want to move or to go through conditional sentence type 2. So, conditional sentence type 2. Let's read these two examples. If Ted had a motorbike, he would ride it to school every day. The second example, if I lived by the beach, I could go swimming every day. So I want you to look here at the verbs had and lived. So they are not in the present simple like conditional sentences type 1. In type 2, we use the past simple. So if plus verb in the past simple. If had. If plus past simple. If lived. The second part of the sentence, we don't have will like the conditional sentence type 1. In type 2, we have would and could. So for conditional sentences type 2, I will need if and a verb in the past simple. Then the second part of the sentence, I will need would plus verb. Okay? I want you to notice here that we use if I were you. This is an expression that we use to give an advice or to express an opinion. For example, I would say, if I were you, I wouldn't listen to my friends. If I were you, I wouldn't be angry. Okay? We use conditional sentences type 2 for unreal or imaginary situations which are unlikely to happen in the present or the future. So things that are unreal and imaginary, they did not happen. Okay? If I had enough money, I would buy a bigger flat. But I don't have enough money. I didn't have enough money. I won't. Then I wouldn't buy a flat. So this situation, if I had enough money, it is not real in the present, or it was not real in the past, it's not real in the present, and it will not happen in the present or the future. So if plus past simple, the main clause will contain would or could plus verb, infinitive verb. I need you to notice here that in conditional sentences type 2, where is often used instead of was in the if clause in all persons. So usually we use was and where with. For example, I say I was, he was, she was. But here in the conditional sentences type 2, we always use where. We use where most of the times. Okay, we often use where more than was. Okay, so I say, this is an example, I will say if Mary were older. I notice here I didn't say if Mary was older. If Mary were older, she could take driving lessons. Okay, again here the remark I made earlier. If I were you, this is an expression that we use to express our opinion or to give advice. If I were you, I would take it easy. If I were you, I wouldn't be angry. Okay. Now I need you to look at the examples and try to form the verbs in conditional sentences type 2. If my best friend, here I have the verb lie to me, then what will happen? Feel really bad. I need you to fill in the blanks and send me your work to check it. Now let's move to the writing part. Since we were talking about the expression if I were you, to give, we said that we use it to give advice. So today we are going to learn how to write a letter giving advice to people or asking for advice. Okay, how will I write this email or letter? I will start with the greeting. Okay, the opening paragraph. First, I will start with the greeting. Hello, how are you? As we have learned before, the greeting. And then, how will I start my paragraph? I will begin my letter and say why I'm writing this letter, the purpose of my letter or from my email. As we have said before, we always, after the greeting, we always mention the reason for this letter or email. I'm writing you this letter or this email to tell you about this and this and this. Okay, so today we have some examples of phrases that we can use to tell our reason or our purpose from this letter or email. If I'm asking for an advice, I will start with I've got a problem and I would like your advice, or I hope you can help me with a problem, or I need your advice because I'm in trouble. These are some examples. And if you are giving an advice to someone, you can say, I was sorry to hear that you have got problems, or I hope the following advice will help you. Or you can say, I've thought about your problem quite a lot and I've come up with the following solution. You move to the main part, in which you are going to give your advice or you're going to explain the problem. Okay? If you are asking for advice, so you need to explain the problem to the person you are asking an advice from. So you explain the problem and you ask. How you do that, you can say, what should I do? I feel helpless and don't know what to do. If you were me, what would you do? Or you can say, what do you suggest? How should I deal with the situation? You can use one of them, one or two of them. And if you are giving an advice, you make suggestions or some solutions. So you can say, I think you should or should not. Remember, for such advice, we always use should and shouldn't. If I were you, I would. I believe it would be a good idea to do that and that. Or one thing you can do is how or what about. So these are suggestions and expressions that we can use to make suggestions and to give advices. Now let's move to the closing paragraph. So after you explain the problem and you ask for advice, what will you say? You will state that you want to emphasize and your letter to end your letter. So I hope you can say, I haven't troubled you too much, or let me know what you think as soon as possible. I'm counting on you. I look forward to hearing from you. And if you are giving advice, you can end your letter with these expressions. I hope everything goes well. Let me know how everything goes. There is no need to panic. Everything will be just fine. And at the end, the signing off. You put your signature, for example, yours, and you write your name. So I need you to do the same. You follow this pattern. You start with greeting, then the beginning or the opening paragraph, then the main part, and then the closing paragraph, and then the signing off. You follow this pattern and you write a paragraph you choose. Either you ask for advice if you have a problem, or you give your friend asked you for advice and you are replying and giving them advice. Okay, please write the paragraphs and let me send me to check them.